Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in. Today I'm taking a bunch of grocery store baby's breath and I'm turning it into 4 different pieces that you can either wear in your hair or carry. I'm also adding some dried hydrangea and some dried oregano that I got from my garden. To start, I'm making a headpiece to go around the crown of the head. I also have some little bows that are going to be worked into this tiny halo. And I'm working with some floral wire and then wax floral tape. I'm taking a couple of pieces of wire to make one thicker wire. That's the length that I need for the halo. Already measured it out, so I know how big the halo will be. And then next, I'm going to prep my flowers by cutting off about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches worth of small bundles of baby's breath. I do want a little bit of that stem on there because I'm going to be working that onto the wire and I need something to attach it to the wire with. So I cut off a few pieces there. I'm also separating my dried hydrangea, which I did spray with some aerosol hairspray to keep the blossoms intact. And then I cut off some small pieces of the oregano, which I did not spray with hairspray, and it's falling apart on me. However, it was leaving behind the stems that had really interesting shapes, so I wanted to continue to use them regardless if they had leaves on them or not. It just kind of gave the arrangements more of a natural, almost wispy feel. So I'm going to gather little bundles and then use my wax floral tape to attach it to the wire. So the first bundle, I have a little bit of everything, some baby's breath, a little bit of the oregano, and then just a little bit of the dried hydrangea. And then I'm going to attach it to the wire. I leave a little bit of wire at the beginning, and then I will attach it with the wax floral tape, just rolling it right around all those stems nice and tight onto the wire itself. As you put it together with different bundles, you will see that there is more of a front and a back to the halo you're making. I try to keep the plumes all towards the front so I didn't have to arrange them too much when I was all done. But I'm going to go through and just grab random bundles and attach them to the wire. And I'll speed it up here a little bit. At some point, I do add in these little shoestring bows. I try to keep those separated on the line there, evenly spaced. Other than that, it was just kind of random is what I was grabbing and attaching there. I figure that the bows have a little bit more of a focal to it. So I wanted to keep those spaced out evenly. And when making a piece like this, you really have to kind of work with gravity. I was having some difficulty here with it being so long. As I spun it, either the front or the back would grab things off my counter there and just kind of whip them all around. So eventually I'm going to dip down the arrangement so that gravity would kind of hold it downward for me and not spin around so wildly. So I don't show you quite all the way to the very end of the rope there. But as I'm working them in, trying to keep them, you can make them closer together, further apart. I was just kind of spacing them, about 1 inch apart, I would say. So it had kind of an airy feel to it. And then when I got all the way to the bottom, just gonna make a circle right out of it. I did leave a little bit of a wire at the very end, and I'm gonna attach it to a little bit of the wire that I left at the beginning there, just twisting it together, making sure wires are not poking out and everything's flush so that you don't get any pains when you put it on the crown of your head. And then, of course, lots of fluffing, making sure everything's going the right way for me. And that is the headpiece. And working along the same lines, I'm going to make a piece that I will glue to a barrette or a hair clip. Probably a comb, like a hair comb would have been nice too. I just did not have one. So I'm starting off with the loop with about 3 bows on either side and some long tails on it. And I have a smaller piece of wire that I had rolled over with some floral tape. I'm just going to grab some random bunches again, use the tape to attach them to the wires. Not too long, just a couple little bundles. I'm leaving a good inch or so at the very end of just wire exposed. And I'll do another piece in the same manner. Just random groupings taped right onto the wire. And once I have both of those attached, I'm going to put them together facing each other. Just like that. And attach them with the floral tape again. And then I'll just bend one side over so it makes a nice line about the length of the barrette. Attach the bow. And you can actually glue flowers right to hair pieces or barrettes. They make a fresh floral glue. But in this case, I'm just going to hot glue it. Careful to only add hot glue to the wire part. Baby's breath is pretty resilient, but with the hot glue, I really don't want to risk it and hot glue the baby's breath onto the barrette. So I'm just trying to make it so the mechanics of the arrangement are just there. And then hold it down, and then you have a little clip for your hair. And next, I'm taking a little bit thicker of a ribbon. I'm going to make a bow by doing the loops and twisting them, which gives it a nice, almost puckered look in the center by twisting them. And I'm going to create a wrist corsage out of baby's breath. So now that I have the bow, I'm going to take some pieces of the baby's breath. These are a little bit bigger than what I had worked with for the hair pieces. And I'm putting a larger amount at the top and a lesser amount at the bottom, trying to give it almost an oval shape. And once I have those gathered in the middle, I will connect it with my bow. And this is going to hold, of course, the baby's breath together. But I do want to glue this to a wrist corsage, a little wristlet, which you can get at craft stores. You can even get them on Amazon too. These are silk leaves that you'll find in the corsage section of a craft store or on Amazon. I'm taking about 4 of them, twisting them together. This will serve as the base that will be glued on to the wristlet. So I kind of fold it into the shape that I'm going for, kind of an oval shape, where it's a little bit bigger at the top, a little bit smaller at the bottom. The bottom portion you don't want too long so that it doesn't interfere with your hand. But you do want the nice show at the top, so that's why I kind of aim for that oval shape. So the wristlets come with 2 little hooks at either end that you can easily fold over to help pinch in that arrangement. So you don't necessarily need hot glue. Once I have that all together, I did want to add a little bit of the hydrangea and a little bit of the oregano. So I'm going to hot glue that in, but I'm careful to put it only around the bow. So anywhere there's hot glue, it's attached to something not alive, like the baby's breath. So I don't run the risk of damaging those blossoms. Always a lot of fluffing as you go along. There's a little bit of the oregano, kind of gave it that wild, wispy feel to it. It also smelled very good too. You can use any kind of filler flower. There's cassia or even some pink heather. And you could do this with just plain baby's breath too, which I think is really pretty. So you do want to trim the stems at the end, and more fluffing. And there's a wrist corsage. I had so much baby's breath left over after I did those 3 arrangements. I was shocked. So this bundle of baby's breath was, oh shoot, I think $5 or $6, $6.99 maybe. I couldn't believe the amount of blossoms that I got with this. So I did separate the remaining stems, and I'm going to make a bouquet out of them. As I'm putting it together, I'm aiming for, of course, a round shape, but I kind of want it to be almost like a perfect oval. So to get that kind of billowy shape, I'm putting the stems together at an angle. Careful to make sure all the stems are going the same way. And it will, in the end, if you have the stems exposed, it has a nice spiral look to it. And with the stems exposed too, you could also just gather that together and snip the bottoms, stick it right in a vase, and you got a really pretty arrangement. But if you're putting together some bouquets to carry, I'm going to go ahead and tie it off. In keeping with the kind of simple look, I'm going to cover up the wire just a little bit so that it won't hurt the hands of anyone that carries it. Don't want that wire exposed. And then I'm also going to take, of course, trim the bottom. I'm going to take a little bit of twine there and cover over my green floral tape. You could use any kind of ribbon. I just thought it had a country look to it with the twine. Just rolling it round and round. All the way to the bottom of the tape there. And once I have everything covered, I'm just putting a little dab of glue, hot glue, right on the ribbon. Again, careful not to get it onto the stems of the baby's breath. So if this was actually in a bridal party, to tie everything together, I'm adding that thin pink ribbon to it, almost mauve color, and just doing a simple bow.